Good morning, children. Today, class for the ninth class. Subject is biological science. Children, in previous class we discussed about the meristematic tissue and the dermal tissue. Okay, so mainly the meristematic tissues brings about overall growth and cell repairs in the plant body, and the dermal tissue forms the outer covering within the plant body. Okay, meristematic tissue mainly responsible for the growth in the plant body, and the dermal tissues are responsible for the protection in the plant body. Okay, today we are discussing about the another type of plant tissue is thing but ground tissue. Okay, the type of plant body that forms bulk of the plant body and gives mechanical support to the plants are called as ground tissue. Okay, the tissues that forms bulk of the plant body and gives mechanical support to the plant are called as ground tissue. What? Ground tissue. Okay, the tissue that forms bulk of the plant body and gives mechanical support to the plant body are called as ground tissue. So mainly we observe that mainly we observe there are three major types of ground tissues are present within the plant body. They are okay parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Okay, there are mainly three types of ground tissue are present within the plant body. They are as follows. One is parenchyma and collenchyma and sclerenchyma. First of all, we are discussing about the parenchyma. First time the word parenchyma was coined by the person Nehemiah Grew. By whom? First time the word parenchyma was coined by the scientist Nehemiah Grew. Means the tissue that is soft in nature. Actually, the meaning of parenchyma is nothing but the tissue that have soft cell. Okay, when you observe the structure of parenchyma, normally they are thin walled. Means nothing but the cell walls of the parenchyma cells are very thin and loosely packed cells. Means nothing but when you observe the cell, they are loosely packed. Means nothing but in between one cell and another cell, some large gap is present. So that's why we can say that they are loosely packed. Okay, the cells of the parenchyma are soft, thin walled, and loosely packed. And on the basis of their location and functions, parenchyma is again divided into three types. On the basis of their location and function, again parenchyma tissue is divided into three types. One is chlorenchyma, not collenchyma. Chlorenchyma. The second one is co-arenchyma. Arenchyma. Okay. Parenchyma tissue is again divided into three types. One is chlorenchyma. Second one is arenchyma. Then third one is storage tissue. What? Storage tissue. So what is chlorenchyma? The type of parenchyma tissue that can perform the photosynthesis process. Okay, the type of parenchyma tissue that contains chloroplast and can perform the photosynthesis process is called as chlorenchyma. What? Chlorenchyma. So the function of this chlorenchyma is nothing but to perform the photosynthesis process. Okay. The type of parenchyma tissue that contains chloroplast and can perform the photosynthesis is called as chlorenchyma. Next one is arenchyma tissue. So, what is arenchyma? The type of parenchyma tissue that have larger air spaces or larger air cavities is called as colon arenchyma. Arenchyma. The type of parenchyma tissue that have larger air spaces or air cavities is called as arenchyma. So, normally we observe that the water plants such as the lotus, pistia, eichhornia, wolffia, and some other plants normally float on the surface of the water. Yes or not? So, why they are not merged in water? So, because of the presence of arenchyma tissue in their body, these plants can float on the surface of the water. Okay, because of the presence of arenchyma, the water plants can easily float on the surface of the water. Why? Because nothing but the arenchyma tissue that contains larger air spaces, air cavity, stores larger volume of air. You know that one? The air is very light in weight. So, the water plants can easily float on the surface of the water. Next one is storage tissue. The type of parenchyma tissue that stores the food material is called as storage tissue. Okay, the type of parenchyma tissue that stores the food material is called as a storage tissue. So, normally plant pots can store various type of food materials in the plant such as various type of carbohydrates and fat materials, okay, and lipids, etc. So the main function of storage tissue is nothing but storage of food material. Okay, what is ground tissue? The plant tissue that form bulk of the plant body and gives mechanical support to the plant body is called as ground tissue. Ground tissue is classified into mainly three types: parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Parenchyma means the type of ground tissue that is very soft, thin walled, and loosely that contains loosely packed cell is called as parenchyma. On the basis of location and function, parenchyma is again classified into three types: chlorenchyma, parenchyma, storage tissue. Chlorenchyma function is to perform photosynthesis process. Parenchyma means it gives buoyancy, means nothing but it gives support to the water plant to float on the surface of the water. Storage tissue means it stores the food material within the plant body. So these are the functions of the parenchyma. Next important ground tissue is collenchyma. The type of ground tissue that have thick walled cells and compactly arranged cells when compared to the parenchyma. Means nothing but the cells are tightly arranged in the plant body are called as collenchyma. So, what is the functions of this collenchyma? Normally, we've seen that when the speed of the wind is very high, the branches of the trees bends, or sometimes the whole tree also bend in the wind direction. But you know that when the branches and the trees cannot fall down. Why? Because nothing but due to the presence of collenchyma tissue in their body. So the collenchyma tissue gives elasticity to the plant body. So due to this elastic nature of the collenchyma, the plant tree branches can bend but cannot break from the stem. Okay, this is the main function of the collenchyma. Next, sclerenchyma. The type of ground tissue that have thick-walled cells and compactly arranged cells are called as sclerenchyma. We observe the sclerenchyma tissue in the harder parts of the plants. For example, seed coats, Vittanapu pipora. Normally, some seeds are very hard. Yes or not? So, the seed coats are majorly made up of sclerenchyma tissue. And you know that one, the shell of the coconut is very hard. Why? Because nothing but it is made up of sclerenchyma tissue. Sclerenchyma tissue means nothing but sclerenchyma tissue gives hardness to the particular plant parts. Okay, so this is about the sclerenchyma. Next one is for last plant tissue is vascular tissue. The type of plant tissue that helps in the conduction of material in the plant body are called as vascular tissue. Conduction means nothing but transportation of materials. Either it may be water or nutrients or minerals. Anything. Okay. The type of plant tissue that helps in the transportation of materials within the plant body are called as vascular tissue. Okay. The type of plant tissue that helps in the transportation of materials within the plant body are called as vascular tissue. In plant bodies, we observe majorly two types of vascular tissue. In plant's body, we observe how many types of vascular tissue? Two types are. So, one is xylem tissue, another one is phloem tissue. We observe mainly two types of plant tissue, means vascular tissue within the plant body. One is xylem tissue, another one is phloem tissue. Okay, we observe how many type of vascular tissues within the blood. Two types. One is xylem tissue, another one is phloem tissue. The xylem and phloem collectively called as vascular bundles means normally the xylem tissue and phloem tissue join together in plant body and forms a bundle like structure within the plant body. So these bundles are called as nothing but vascular bundles. So if, normally we can say that the xylem and phloem are collectively called as vascular bundles. Vascular bundles. What is the function of the xylem tissue? Means the xylem tissue absorbs the water from the soil and transport the water to various other parts of the plant. Okay, the xylem tissue absorb the water from the soil and transport this water to various other parts of the plant. The xylem tissue not only absorbs the water but also it absorbs minerals from the soil and transport it to various other parts of the plant body. Next, what is phloem tissue? You know that plants have ability to perform the photosynthesis process. During the photosynthesis process, plants prepare their food materials. Usually, the food materials are prepared in leaves, but the food materials that are manufactured in leaves may be transported to various other parts of the plant, such as stem, branches, and even root. So, the plant tissue that transports nutrients from one part of the plant body to the another part of the plant body is called as a phloem tissue. Okay, the plant tissue that transports or the type of vascular tissue that transports food materials or nutrients from one part to the another part of the plant body is called as phloem tissue. Normally, in this vascular tissue, various types of cells are present. When we observe the xylem, in xylem we observe the tracheids cells. What? We observe which cells? Tracheids cells and tubular vessel cells. Okay, the xylem tissue contains tracheid cells, tubular vessels, xylem fibers, and xylem parenchyma. Xylem parenchyma. Xylem contains tracheid cells, tubular vessels, xylem fibers, and xylem parenchyma. Similar to xylem, the phloem also contains various type of cells. The phloem contains sieve cells. Which cells? Sieve cells, sieve tube cells. What? Sieve tube cells. Next, the phloem also contain very important cells called as companion cells. Which cells? Companion cells. Okay, the phloem consists of sieve cells, sieve tube cells, companion cells, phloem fibers, phloem parenchyma, etc. So, the xylem contains different type of cells, the phloem contains different type of cells, for the conduction of materials within the plant body. So these are the about the different types of plant tissues that exist in the plant body. Okay, children, listen carefully the lesson.